Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So many of us dealing with a lot of challenges, anxiety, sometimes depression. We feel like we're always on guard. There's a lot going on in the world. Are we being programmed? Are we, from the messages that we see within social media, could be the news, all different things, propaganda, all that stuff out there, is that putting us in a bad place, bad light? We're going to talk about that today. He is somebody that has a lot of intuition. He's an energy healer, life coach, hypnotherapist, acupuncturist. He gives clarity and insight on things that nobody normally talks about. And he's our professional VIR. Chris DiStefano is back. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Steve. How are you?
I'm good, and I can detect your energy. You're fired up about something. We're going somewhere today.
Oh, we're gonna have fun. So who and what I am, I'm a slightly different type of intelligence. It's just how I functioned and never really quite fit in. I've also, because of that, don't have the same attachment when given information. The emotional overwhelm does not hit me the same way. So in 1947, our government passed the Smith-Mundt Act. That was to allow the State Department to put together programming, and that was for only foreign dissemination. During the Obama administration, Congress, in its infinite benevolence, wisdom, and goodness, modified part of the Smith-Mundt Act and allowed our State Department to domestically broadcast. It removed the restriction. To put this in plain English, it allowed us to be propagandized by our own government. Now, when we take that and dive deeper into it, I'm going to say, so everything is programming is programming. TV programming is to program us. So if you talk to a Christian scientist, there is a degree of healing that's done through faith and belief. Our bodies have the capacity. If you look at a double-blind study that's done with a placebo control, because the placebo, the sugar pill, also heals because of belief systems. Now, as a sidebar, it's one of the most deep sicknesses of medicine that they've never looked into how the mind heals. Literally leveraged that which is without harm, as opposed to giving a pill that has side effects. Instead, it's like, here's a pill that we can make money on and control your health, not here's how you can heal yourself. Nobody ever looks at how you can heal yourself. It's kind of twisted. So anyway, programming is paid for by, as we know, advertisers. Advertisers do have a degree of control over what's told to us. So that creates this background of our reality. Now, I'm at the point where enough is enough, because what happened yesterday was I was coaching a woman, and I was also, this is in a group setting. I was also speaking. There was a therapist who was also present, and this all ties together. So the woman ended up saying, I was having resistance because you were, and she used 3 of the 4 words, because I'm a white, cisgendered, straight man. So that's, but she's like, but I've done work to thin my resistance. And she's proud of herself. Literally, if I flip this on its head and I'm like, I'm having a hard time listening because you're a black woman, my God, I would not be celebrated. I would be ostracized, and justifiably so. But instead, this victim mentality has been propagated to weaken and divide people. Academia is at between 95 and 98% run and staffed by people of this ideology. NPR is 100% run and staffed by people of this ideology. Almost everything that's foisted upon us. And what happened is, as I said, another woman there is a therapist. She asked me later, why are therapists all suffering so much? Why is there so much unhappiness? The answer is clear as day. I have been in points of my life where I held lies. right now, these are lies. And therapists are having, because the belief system that's told to them, and that 98% of them subscribe to because that's what their organizations tell them to believe, are not actually true. There is a conflict. So for this woman, she could not sit there easily and be coached by me because of my color, because of my sexual orientation, as if that affects her. These are all deep belief systems that are reinforced through repetition. This leads to disharmony, disease, and destruction of our own bodies because we are out of sync with who we are. Back to you, Steve.
Wow, we went deep. And this is going back, yeah. Oh my gosh, how many years now? 50, 70 years almost.
Yeah, this is going way back. And this, what we're seeing is, I'm going to use COVID as an example. Most people were so heavily propagandized that you believed it came from from not from a lab, but from a wet market. There was no sustainable proof, and the proof indicated, and I was reading emails from Fauci back in 21. The proof indicated it came from a lab. By the way, if you do your homework, so did Lyme disease. And I could get into the whole thing of how government may not necessarily be on our side all the time. But we can empower ourselves. You see, looking at what's happening, everything I've said is disempowerment and division. And that's it. A woman sees me and already has 4 categories of why I'm a threat. When I'm literally, and I told her, my retort to all of this was, some people are not meant to be coached by me. I cannot do a sensitivity training where I have to be completely mindful of everyone's triggers because then I'm not present. I'm not coming from the heart. I'm not in flow and I am not authentic. If a person cannot connect to the authenticity that is me and wants me to become a character or a caricature, to hold programmed sensitivities in an esteemed place, then we can't dance because I cannot operate spontaneously and authentically, and there is no heart connection at that point.
And you're coming in that situation, you're coming from a place of not being impartial because it's almost as if the person that you might be working with takes a net and throws it over your head. Call that just a symbolism for they want you in their world, but that's not your function. Your function is to analyze their world from afar or from the other side so that they can better understand who they are. If they want you to believe what they're believing, it can't work. It just
No, it's like saying
you
dance monkey.
right. And it's like you whatever their situation is, they've invited you or pulled you down the rabbit hole that they're in, but you need to look above them in the rabbit hole. Not that you need to be above them, but I'm saying you need to pull them out of it to realize, oh, those are the shadows in my life. This is why I believe what I believe. And that's, things that weren't true in my life. And we've talked about that in our childhood. Um,
Yeah.
that charts your life now as an adult. The NPR thing. Let's go back to
Yes.
that. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
So I used to listen to NPR. I used to be a Bernie supporter. And then I saw how what's happening. NPR completely pushed me away because they only report. NPR went out of their way to believe and to cover up the Hunter Biden story, including 51 intelligence agents, and the whole thing was proven to be true. But they will devote every last breath to maligning Trump. Now, you can report on a person, but when all you're doing is negative reporting, when they're reporting on that insane lawsuit in Georgia that he has a mugshot from, if you look at it, it was election denial. There's never been an investigation. There's never been a court trial. A court refused to hear the case by claiming lack of standing. So we never had discovery. But they'll report on that so they can run around calling him a felon. When in fact, all 51 intelligence people that said the Hunter Biden laptop story was fake and NPR completely covered it up committed what might be called treason. They knowingly affected the outcome of an election by lying and by suppressing truth. Now, that's a very strong word. And I'm not, but NPR's programming during COVID was absolutely atrocious. I knew the safety record of the vaccines because it was published data that was not disseminated over mainstream news sources. What was given out was appalling. Here's facts. Facts are ventilators killed people and the government paid hospitals $40,000 to put people on them. Another fact is the government paid hospitals more money for COVID positive diagnoses. So they were literally testing people in car accidents who may have passed away. If they were COVID positive, they got to cash in on that sweet, sweet government COVID money. Facts are remdesivir, the drug that they were giving, that they would, Medicare, Medicaid would increase hospital reimbursement by, you can fact check me on this, I think it's 30%. Total bill increase of 30%. So now you have a bill of $50,000. You just got it kicked up to 65, buddy, by giving this drug that was originally an Ebola drug, but not safe enough for Ebola, so it was never approved. Still experimental because it led to kidney shutdown, and none of this was covered in mainstream media. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, completely maligned because they were potentially useful and already approved drugs, so you couldn't do all of this experimental nonsense. All of that was completely eliminated from being in mainstream media, particularly NPR, New York Times. Now they've come around. They're like, oh, we were all fooled about COVID. No, you failed as reporters. You didn't investigate. You didn't hold that openness of scientific inquiry of let's look at all possibilities. Instead, you pushed a narrative, and the narrative is targeted to an audience who's in a bubble of intellectualism and academia.
Those I heard those stories. I wasn't listening to NPR. However, and I'm just taking this all in. Those stories weren't elevated. They were
Nope.
somewhat buried. They would come up and they go away really fast. And there wasn't more depth, more spotlight put on them because it was the spotlight was put on the number of cases and where it's, all of that, not these individual stories. And I followed it closely because I worked with a infectious disease doctor on this. On the PR side, we became friends about a year and a half before COVID even hit. And then, but I trust in his knowledge. So I have to weigh what he says versus what's out there in the media. He was in China. Coincidence or not, he just happened to be there
Yeah.
when it broke out. And he was in the corner of the airport getting out of town. Got to get out of here now because he was telling everybody what was going on. He was messaging it out. They're locking down everything here. This is like probably January he was there before it even maybe no, late December of 19 before it even really hit. So yeah, I look at, his information, then what got reported. There is, I don't think any doubt in anybody's mind that the media is skewed. It's the stories are cherry picked. They can, and it's amazing what can be put out there just by not reporting,
Yeah.
reporting this, but not reporting that. And the perception if somebody's aligned with a certain network, whatever the network might be, NPR, pick anyone. Do you feel that this is really causing challenge in our society where people are mentally having issues because of the way this is being represented? All of this.
So let's look at, and I'm not a fan of Fox either. Let's look at what's happening. Doge, Department of Government Oversight, Elon Musk is going through and essentially doing audits of various departments of government. People have been so riled up by what has now been labeled by the media as a Nazi salute. Now, I say judge a man by his actions. Israel and the ADL have both come out in defense of Elon Musk. So this is noise. This is propaganda. Now look at what the so-called liberals or the left are doing. They're the people who are running around terrorizing individuals for the cars that they drive. Driving, I saw some clown who's driving like whatever they were driving into a Tesla. They were driving like an ATV into a Tesla. People have planted bombs at Tesla. People are running around drawing swastikas on Tesla. And these are the people who think they're fighting Nazis. They're running around. I saw topless women doing Nazi salutes. I saw all of this crazy,
Mm.
radical stuff. And then I see the interviews. What has Elon done? Oh, he's a bad man. Not a single person that they ask can actually give a specific because these people are being riled up to protect certain things that are in power. They don't even understand why they're screaming because that's propaganda for you. And
Programming.
yeah, it is pushing people apart. It's breaking up families. We've seen it. It's breaking up communities. It's leading to distrust. It's leading to people walling each other off. Listen, I do not trust the government. I could give you 1,000 reasons why. So my choices are based on less government in lives, less government is healthier for communities to thrive. We do great with each other. We can connect at the heart level. We can build greatness, but we are actively being divided by what I would call propagandists who try to create fear, division, and just difference. I am different from you because your orientation or my why. We're people. Let's work together.
I agree with you on the Musk salute, if you will. You can the media, anybody can see whatever they want to see in anything. It could have
Yeah.
been pick any official, and they could have
Hmm.
scratched their nose with their middle finger during a deli
Oh,
right. They're
I
sending a
saw what you
message.
did.
He was trying to subliminally tell him to blank off just because he scratched his
Yes.
nose with his middle finger. I said, we saw that. We got a clip, play it back, play it back, play it back over and over again. You can see what you want. All of us can. What's the answer here? Is it desensitization to the media? Don't watch as much stuff, pull back on it. What do we do here?
First off, I love RFK pulling pharma advertising off the TV. It's not about you not seeing those commercials with the fast talking at the end. It's about them also not dictating the programming that's programming you. Um, Turn off the news, go outside and actually get to know people, connect to people, be honest and truthful
Hmm.
with who you are. Don't come from that place of fear. And frankly, make Smith Mund great again. Let's turn off this domestic propaganda spigot because when you have 100% ideology in New York Times, basically 99%, in almost all the mainstream news sources, and in the academia is amazing. I read these academic papers. I'm going to tell you, if you can't understand it, it's a joke. They don't understand it. They're using big words to make themselves seem smart. Um, During COVID, you can look up Nature and all these other esteemed publications follow the science. And real quick, this is absolutely appalling. So when I first heard about COVID, I was like, wow, sounds autoimmune. Steroids would probably set a person pretty good to contain that reaction. That's the main danger. I spoke to a pulmonologist. The pulmonologists were specifically told, do not give steroids. This was not speed of science. This was not mistakes. There was some malice by people coordinating. Look at the nursing home deaths in New York. I'm not going to say why, but there was some malice. So, what is it? Pay attention, hold your own counsel, speak with people that have different opinions. That's how we learn. It's also how we grow. We're able to hear and absorb and change and be that's a deep connection of trust. I love talking to people that we don't agree because they enrich me and my experience. So just enjoy each other. We are here as a gift to each other. We're not here to make each other suffer.
I believe that too. We're not here to be miserable. It's why would we be here? Like, what's the point? And I appreciate your viewpoint because it makes me and everybody else think. And you can use your own filter. Take some of
Please.
the information and say, duly noted. This is what I do when I hear things. Duly noted. Yep, keep an eye on that. But doesn't mean like you've got me, you've programmed me. And I don't mean you. I mean anything, any viewpoint. It's not like I got you now. I've got you in my power. No, you put it through your filter and say, oh, that's interesting. Never saw it that way. I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Doesn't mean it's I would align with somebody immediately because of something, but now it's on a blip on the radar. Let's just call it that.
And if these trusted people in the nice suits and the good hair have lied to us 12 times, but they're up there with their good, blah, 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 they're probably still lying.
Mm,
Hold your own counsel. Look at the track record. And the journals, you can look this up, the amount of retractions from the scientific journals for a lot of the noise and propaganda that was supposedly peer reviewed during COVID. Record numbers of retractions because it was put out there, but it was lies and they knew it. And then they pulled it back.
wow. Yeah. And this is coming from you, deeply studied this energy, intuitiveness, all of this. You're here to help people heal.
Yeah.
But it's my belief that you can't help people heal if they've got these things stuck in their head. What are these things? It could be those shadows from your childhood. It could be I listened to the news today. Oh, what? Wow, I'm really stressed out after hearing all of that, which does correlate back to our lives. Even earlier could be a trigger. You hear something and it triggers you. You're just you're a little on edge, and then somebody comes before you, and then your job is to figure it out, like what's going on there. Lots to think about with our talk today. Very
Yeah,
insightful,
but
very interesting.
same thing as always. Know yourself, love yourself, be present, build your trust and faith, build your relationship, go out for a walk, get into nature, live life, get away from the TV, get away from the news. You will feel 1,000 times better.
I agree 1000%, without a
Yeah.
doubt. And to your point, trust. So trust in your belief. Don't let somebody lead you. Like, you give these facts, like, all right, duly noted. I've heard some things before. Now you're saying it. Yeah, might want to look into that a little bit deeper, but
Yeah.
you have to filter it and you have to have faith in yourself to believe
Yeah.
what you feel is true. Somebody could be listening and they'd be saying, that guy is, what is he talking about? That's exactly what Musk was doing. That's exactly it. And okay, that's your belief. That's somebody else's belief. You have to really I feel again, put it through your filter. But again, just go outside. Take a walk, get into nature. There's a reason that phrase is there. I'm going back to nature. I never realized it until I realized it, and the power of even just that, taking a walk, grounded, all of that. Um, this is what you do.
That's
This
what I
is
do.
to spread the awareness. How do we find you? What's the best way, Chris?
So, scarsdalehealth.com, that's my acupuncture practice, and level3coaching.org, that's the coaching practice. You can get to me through either, and yes, it is spelled out, level3coaching.org. And yeah, this is really ultimately when we're holding lies at our core, if we're holding things that are not true to us at our core, they hurt us. And I see it all day. So that's why I'm bringing this up. I know it sounds like I'm getting political. I'm actually not. And that's what's scary is how easily, if I'm telling you that I see harm in health and how it's delivered, that's not political. That's health. And any resistance that someone has that wants to call me political for saying it, that's programming. That's propaganda.
I'm not even internalizing this as political. Let's go back to something you said at the very beginning of our conversation today, in that the way medicine works, it's just the symptoms. And it's my belief, big pharma makes a lot of money. So why go to the root cause? We make more money treating the symptoms. Here, take a pill. Here's your
Yeah.
script. Not always the best way. Yes, sometimes you got to treat the symptoms. Sometimes it's a life and death situation. Somebody presents and it's got to be addressed in that way. But ultimately, you have to go to the root cause. And unfortunately, a lot of the root cause does come from things that we hear and see as children, or as adults, right?
Happy people are healthy people. And it's a fact. And yeah, this is all programming. This
Mm,
is like the wildest stuff I see when I saw, like, let's say, COVID vaccines had a lot of side effects. I saw that firsthand as a practitioner.
sure.
But it was amazing because as I'd see these health conditions, I'd also see how they're working with this person to help raise their awareness to what's going on because it's body, mind, spirit. So, yes, I could blame the vaccine, but it also gave this opportunity of growth. It made them stop what they were doing and reevaluate and commit to their well being, where before they were only committed to their work. It's this dance. Um, Life is the ultimate teacher. When we look, we can see this world around me is not random. This is intelligence that's dancing with me at every moment. I see that now. I see it working with the precision of a Swiss watch, the
Mm.
way the gears fit together, the way it's given as needed. Where I have resistance to what is are areas that I have to let go. That's health.
Happy people or healthy people is so powerful, just those few words. But when we say healthy, we also mean mentally and physically. A lot of times it's just perceived to be physically, but it's all of that. Thank you so much for today. Lots to think about, lots of process, Chris. But
Thank you, Steve. It's been a pleasure.
that's why we're here. All right, we'll catch up soon.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.